I think a lot of people think that osteoporosis is about one thing, calcium, right? Or maybe vitamin D or magnesium or whatever. But as it turns out, it's not that easy. Bone density is never really fixed by one nutrient. It's a network effect. And I think that's partly because a lot of people start their health journey at the wrong end. They put supplements at the top of the list, hoping that a pill can fix everything else. In reality, lasting health, including strong bones, is built from consistency, movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management, with supplements just playing a supporting role at the very bottom. And I'm sorry if that seems judgy, but today I want to show you what the real drivers of strong bones are as we age, and why supplements alone are not nearly enough, right? It's because your bones aren't just like sticks of calcium. They're living, dynamic organs, and they respond to signals from hormones, muscles, nutrients, and sleep. And here's the big idea. Protein, inflammation, minerals, hormones, and loading mechanisms all interact. So let's break down this osteoporosis puzzle. First, we've got protein. Protein provides the collagen framework inside bone. Without enough protein, you don't build a strong scaffold, no matter how much calcium you take. By volume, mature bone is roughly about 50 to 60% mineral and 30 to 35% collagen. And since collagen is made of protein, the amount of protein you eat really matters. And that's one reason why we see consistently lower bone density and higher fracture risk in people following very low protein diets, especially vegan diets, compared to omnivore diets. Now second, yeah, we've got minerals. Minerals like calcium and phosphate attached to the collagen framework to give the bone the strength and the stiffness. But minerals only matter if the structure is already there, right? So the protein is going to build the scaffolding and the minerals are going to attach to it. And that's where vitamin D comes in. Vitamin D allows calcium and phosphate to be absorbed from the gut, retained in the body, and then actually used rather than lost. And without adequate vitamin D, the body often pulls the minerals out of the bone to protect the blood levels. But then there's inflammation, right? Which is a big one. Inflammation strongly influences whether bone is being built or broken down. High inflammatory signals pushes bone towards reabsorption. And inflammation doesn't come from just one place, right? It can come from chronic stress or poor sleep or oxidative stress or blood sugar swings, food sensitivities, gut microbiome imbalances, inactivity, and a host of other things. So if you really want to protect bone, the goal isn't to take an anti-inflammatory supplement, right? It's to identify and fix the actual source of inflammation in any specific person. So I actually did a video on this a while ago. It's called Immunoporosis, where I explain that chronic inflammation drives bone loss, and I explain it in greater detail, and it's all over the literature about this thing called immunoporosis. All right, next on the list is hormones. Hormones matter too, right? Estrogen, testosterone, and others, they all regulate how quickly bone is broken down and rebuilt. That's one reason why bone loss accelerates with aging, right? Hormone signaling changes. Then we have muscle. Muscle plays a huge role. Muscle strength tells bone where the bones need to be strong. And weak muscles mean weak signals to the bone. And then another extremely important intervention is loading and impact, because bones adapt to force. So lifting weights, running, climbing stairs, they all give bone a reason to strengthen itself. So those are 7 top interventions to prevent or manage osteoporosis. But there's one more that we're going to get to in a minute here, and it may be the most important of all. But before we get there, I think you should understand from this picture that bone health is never about one nutrient, right? It's about how these systems work together. So when someone asks me, hey, which supplement is best for bone health? My honest answer is none of them, right? Supplements can support bone health, but they don't drive it, because supplements are really limited in what they can do, right? If you want to look at what supplements can do, they can nudge bone formation, right? They can decrease bone breakdown. They can help you reach nutrient sufficiency if you're deficient in the first place, right? In other words, before just randomly taking some vitamins and minerals, have your vitamin and mineral levels in your blood checked first. Too much of any mineral or vitamin is just as bad as too little. So get your levels checked before you just randomly start taking things. Supplements can improve muscle strength indirectly, right? For example, like creatine, right? Creatine has been studied to increase muscle strength, which can increase bone density as a result of stronger muscular forces that you develop. But taking creatine by itself is not just going to build stronger muscles. You have to do the loading, you have to do the exercise. And finally, supplements can help reduce inflammation, but again, like I said earlier, finding the source of inflammation in your particular case would also need to be done, right? But they can't replace muscle loading, right? They can't completely fix poor sleep. They can't reduce chronic inflammation if you don't fix the source of the inflammation. They can't make up for low activity or frailty. They can't reverse hormone deficiencies. They certainly can't prevent falls, right? So here's the key idea. Supplements only nudge bone formation, right? Loading, hormones, sleep, inflammation, muscle strength, those are the real drivers. And if a supplement doesn't fit into one of those buckets, it's probably not going to move the needle much. So let's talk about what is probably the main cause of why people break bones. It's probably not what you think. This is a big mindset shift. Most osteoporotic fractures are not just spontaneous. They're triggered by a fall, right? In fact, about 60 to 70% of all osteoporotic fractures are fall related. And that means if we can meaningfully reduce the number of falls, we can have the largest single impact on osteoporotic fractures, even before we ever talk about supplements or medications. So maybe instead of talking about some magical supplement, people should be focused on balance and gait and speed and leg strength and grip strength and reaction time and vision and medications, because a lot of medications make people's balance off, right? But when you're diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia, when have you ever heard of your doctor recommending balance training over some calcium supplement or medication? Probably like a nothing percent chance. But when you reduce falls by a certain percent, you reduce the fractures by almost the exact same amount. For example, multiple meta-analyses show that balance training reduces falls by 20 to 30%, and fractures drop in parallel by almost the same percentage. And this supports a very powerful truth. Reducing falls is one of the most effective ways to reduce osteoporotic fracture risk. So here's what really matters the most, right? Number one, application and load. Muscle strengthening and applying load to bones are the most reliable stimulus for bone. The stronger your legs are, the safer your bones are. So that would mean, like I said earlier, jogging, maybe weightlifting, right? Secondly, balance training with Tai Chi, single leg stands, yoga, wobble board work. These all reduce falls dramatically. Third would be protein intake. Most older adults, I've done a couple other videos on this, most older adults are vastly deficient in their protein intake. Most should be aiming for 120 to 160 grams of protein a day, and larger or more muscular individuals may benefit from more. There's usually no need to exceed about 180 grams per day. Inflammation control would be next, right? And we've got poor sleep, low omega-3 fatty acid status, low vitamin D status, high homocysteine, food sensitivities. We got low muscle mass, stress, and a lot of other factors increase inflammation in the body, right? Those inflammatory cytokines, they accelerate bone loss. And yes, supplements can help, right? Things like vitamin D and omega-3s and targeted probiotics, even creatine. They all play supporting roles, but they are the sideshow, right? They're not the main event. So here's the simplest way to put it. Strong bones come from a strong body. Calcium does not stop falls, right? Protein and strength training do. Supplements support bone biology, but muscles drive it. If you want fewer fractures, don't just build bone, prevent the falls that break the bone. So if you found this helpful, please hit the like so that this information can reach more people. And if you want a deeper dive on some supplements or exercise plans for bone health, let me know in the comments. I make videos like this almost every week. So stay strong, take care of your muscles, and your bones will follow.